Hey everyone, ready for today's deep dive? We've got a whole stack of new research articles and we're going to break them down for you. Just the good stuff you know.
Yeah, all the latest in RNA sequencing, cancer research, and of course, bioinformatics, all that good stuff.
So let's just jump right in. We found a couple of really interesting articles from News Medical Bioinformatics newsfeed,
Yeah.
both about cancer research.
Oh, cool.
One study, it was done at Case Western Reserve University School of Medicine,
Okay.
and they found some pretty interesting stuff about specific protein regions
Uh-huh.
and how they contribute to breast cancer.
Makes sense. You really got to get down to those molecular mechanisms if you want to even think about developing good therapies.
Yeah, totally.
More targeted and more effective.
Right, exactly. And then this other article is talking about osteosarcoma.
Oh, wow.
It's a bone cancer that mostly affects kids and young adults.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a really tough diagnosis.
But they're doing a lot of work to try and understand it better.
Right.
And this study actually uncovered a whole new mutation mechanism that drives the progression of the disease.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, could be a big help for figuring out new treatments.
Definitely.
Right.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit and talk about RNA sequencing.
Sounds good.
We've got a bunch of articles from RNA-seq blog all about the amazing ways they're using this technology.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible stuff.
But before we get too deep into it,
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could just give us like a quick explanation of RNA sequencing. You know, like what it actually is.
Okay, so think of it this way.
Okay.
You want to understand what's happening inside a cell, like what makes it work.
Yeah.
RNA sequencing is basically taking a snapshot of all the activity.
Hmm.
It shows you which genes are turned on
Okay.
and which ones are turned off.
Oh, I see.
So you can see how the genes are being expressed and regulated.
Oh, so it's like peeking into the control room of the cell and seeing which switches are flipped.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're using this technology for so many different things now. Well, like classifying different kinds of lymphoma,
Oh, wow.
learning more about childhood cancers like neuroblastoma,
Hmm.
even figuring out how bacteria and parasites work.
Wow. So we're talking like everything from human diseases to tiny little organisms.
Pretty much, yeah. It's super versatile.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then there's this other study about the Child Atlas.
Oh, yeah, that's a cool one.
What is that?
Well, it's like this open source atlas of lung tissue.
Okay.
And they made it using this really advanced technique called single nucleus RNA sequencing.
Mm.
And they're using it to try and develop targeted treatments for interstitial lung disease,
Oh, wow.
which is this whole group of disorders that can cause scarring in the lungs.
That's really important.
Yeah, especially for personalized medicine.
Absolutely. We also have a study here about Prader-Willi Syndrome.
Okay, yeah.
It's a genetic disorder that can cause like intellectual disabilities,
Right.
behavioral problems, and like a constant feeling of hunger.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
And they're using RNA sequencing to study how genes are regulated in this syndrome.
That's interesting. It's a pretty complex disorder, so any insights they can get are going to be super helpful.
Yeah. Now let's talk about bioinformatics and how it's impacting healthcare.
Yeah, that's where it gets really exciting.
We've got articles from Nature, BioIT World, and Genomics, Proteomics, and Bioinformatics.
Wow, the big leagues.
Yeah. And they all seem to agree that bioinformatics is going to play a huge role in shaping the future of medicine.
For sure.
Now, for those who don't know, bioinformatics is basically using computers to analyze biological data.
Exactly.
And when you add in machine learning,
Oh, man, that's when things really start to take off.
it's like a dynamic duo of like healthcare superheroes.
Right. It's like having this superpowered detective that can sift through tons of data and find patterns that we would never be able to see on our own.
So how are they using this power to actually make a difference?
Well, one article talks about using heterogeneous transfer learning. It's a type of machine learning that can help identify laryngeal cancer early on,
Whoa, wow.
which is super important because early detection is key.
Yeah,
And this technology could really improve outcomes for patients.
that's amazing.
Mm.
Are there other examples of like bioinformatics being used for
Yes.
early diagnosis?
Yeah, tons. There's another study about using machine learning to analyze chest CT scans
Okay.
to detect bronchiolitis obliterans syndrome. It's a serious lung condition that can happen after a lung transplant.
So,
And they're also developing machine learning models to predict post-acute pancreatitis diabetes mellitus
okay.
based on CT radiomics. It's like they're revolutionizing how we approach diagnosis and treatment.
But those are just like a few examples, right?
It's the tip of the iceberg. There are so many applications coming out all the time.
Like what else? What else is out there?
Well, they're using machine learning to improve omics analysis.
Oh, right. Omics. That's the study of all the different molecules in like a cell or a tissue.
Yeah, exactly. And by using electronic health records, researchers can get a much better understanding of how diseases work
Mm.
and develop more personalized treatments.
It's like connecting all the dots to get a full picture of someone's health.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other applications that you're particularly excited about?
Oh, there's one about active learning.
Okay.
It's being used to assist directed evolution.
What's that?
It's basically a way to engineer proteins with specific properties.
Oh, wow.
And machine learning is helping to speed up the process.
That sounds like something straight out of like a sci-fi movie.
Right, but it's real.
Yeah.
And one of the coolest applications is developing AI-designed antivenoms for snakebites.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there's really no limit to what they can achieve with bioinformatics and machine learning.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be in this field. The possibilities are pretty much endless.
I totally agree. So let's shift gears a bit and see what some of the big players are doing.
Okay, yeah.
We've got a couple of articles from BioIT World about Illumina and Oxford Nanopore.
Oh, yeah, those are the big names in genomics.
Right. And they're both really focusing on this idea of multi-omics and proteomics.
That's interesting. It seems like there's a big push toward understanding biological systems in a more comprehensive way.
Can you explain what those terms mean exactly? Like multi-omics and proteomics.
Sure. Multi-omics is basically looking at data from all the different omes.
Omes.
Yeah, like the genome, the transcriptome, the proteome, the metabolome.
Okay.
It's about integrating all that information to get a more complete picture of how things work.
So it's like instead of just looking at one piece of the puzzle, you're looking at the whole thing.
Exactly. And proteomics is the study of proteins,
Okay.
which are basically the workhorses of the cell.
Yeah, I remember that from biology class.
By studying proteins, researchers can learn a lot about how cells function, how diseases develop, and how to develop new drugs.
So how are Illumina and Oxford Nanopore incorporating these ideas into what they're doing?
Well, Illumina is really focused on expanding its reach through mergers and acquisitions, particularly in areas related to multi-omics.
Makes sense.
They want to give researchers all the tools they need to study biological systems from every angle.
Okay. What about Oxford Nanopore?
They're emphasizing the connection between proteomics and genomics, highlighting how closely those two fields are linked.
It sounds like both companies are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And all these advancements are opening up so many new possibilities for understanding health, disease, and even life itself.
It's really incredible. It makes you wonder, like, what the future holds for all this technology and how it's going to impact our lives.
Yeah, the pace of innovation is amazing. It's a really exciting time to be a scientist, that's for sure. And an even more exciting time to just be following along with all the progress.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's really remarkable how fast things are moving. Speaking of moving fast, how are these advancements actually making a difference for patients?
Oh, in tons of ways. Remember that study we were talking about with machine learning to identify laryngeal cancer early?
Oh, yeah, the one that uses heterogeneous transfer learning. It's pretty crazy that algorithms can help doctors see cancer cells that aren't even visible to the naked eye.
Early detection is huge, and this technology could seriously bump up the survival rate for those patients.
That's amazing. What about the AI-designed antivenoms? How are they impacting snakebite treatment in the real world?
Well, snakebites are a big problem globally, and traditional antivenom production takes a lot of time and money.
Yeah, it's a really complex process.
These new AI-designed antivenoms could make treatment much faster and cheaper, especially in areas where snakebites are super common.
That's a game changer for sure. And it's not just about treatment, right? These technologies are helping us understand what causes diseases in the first place, which could lead to ways to prevent them or even cure them down the line.
You got it. And Illumina and Oxford Nanopore are big players in that area with their focus on multi-omics and proteomics.
Let's dive into that a bit. How are those companies specifically contributing to our understanding of disease?
Well, Illumina's focus on multi-omics gives researchers a whole set of tools to study biological systems from different angles. They're integrating data from the genome, the transcriptome, the proteome, the metabolome, all of it.
It's like putting a giant puzzle together, each piece of data giving us a clearer picture.
Exactly. And Oxford Nanopore is pushing the limits of what we can do with protein analysis, which is super important for figuring out how cells work, how diseases develop, and how we can design new drugs.
Right. Proteins are basically like tiny machines keeping everything running.
Exactly. Both companies are making big contributions to how we understand health and disease. Their work is leading us toward medicine that's more personalized, more precise, more effective.
Sounds promising.
Yeah.
But let's be realistic. There have got to be challenges and limitations, right? Like we talked about how much data is being generated. It's almost too much to even process.
Oh, yeah, we're definitely in a data deluge in biology and medicine. That's why it's so important to develop computational tools and analytical methods that are powerful enough to handle it and extract meaningful insights from it all.
So it's not just about collecting the data, but making sense of it.
For sure. And another big challenge is making sure everyone has access to these technologies, no matter where they live or their economic situation.
Absolutely. If these advancements are going to truly benefit humanity, everyone needs benefit.
I agree. We also need to make sure the data used to develop these technologies represents diverse populations.
We talked about that earlier, the data diversity thing.
Yeah.
Can you remind us why that matters so much?
Well, if the data used to train the algorithms isn't diverse and is skewed towards certain populations, then the technologies won't be as effective or safe for everyone. We got to watch out for biases in the data to make sure these technologies are truly equitable.
Yeah, it's like we're laying the groundwork for a much better healthcare system, one that's more inclusive and more effective for everyone. But we got to be realistic, too.
Yeah, of course.
Like every technology has its downsides.
Yeah.
What are some of the ethical things we need to think about as these technologies become more and more powerful?
Well, data privacy is a big one. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
We're gathering tons of personal data, genetic info, health records, even stuff about people's lifestyle choices. Keeping all of that secure is a huge deal.
It is. We need some serious security measures in place.
Right, and regulations
Yeah.
to make sure all that sensitive data is protected. Another big thing is making sure these technologies don't end up making existing inequalities worse.
Oh, yeah. Like, what if only wealthy people can afford personalized medicine or gene editing?
Exactly. That would create a two-tiered system where the rich get all the benefits and everyone else gets left behind.
It's really important that these advancements benefit everyone, not just a select few.
Couldn't agree more. And it's not just about access to the technology itself. We also need to make sure the data used to develop these technologies is diverse.
Right, we've talked about that a couple of times, the data diversity issue. Why is it so important in this context?
Well, if the data used to train those algorithms is biased or skewed towards certain groups, then the tech that comes out of it might not be as effective for everyone.
Right.
It might not even be safe. We need to be very careful about potential biases in the data to make sure that everyone benefits equally.
It's like building a bridge, right? It needs to be strong enough for everyone to cross, not just a select few.
Exactly. And as we push further into these uncharted territories, we also have to be prepared for unintended consequences. I mean, when you start messing with systems as complex as the human body and brain, there's always going to be some level of uncertainty.
Kind of like opening Pandora's box. You never know what might come out.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. We have to try and anticipate potential risks, develop safeguards, and have honest conversations about the ethical implications of all this. And those conversations need to include everyone: scientists, policymakers, and the public.
It's a responsibility we all share, shaping the future of these technologies and making sure they're used for good.
Well said. At the end of the day, these technologies are tools. And like any tool, they can be used for good or bad. It's really up to us to decide how we use them.
I think that's a really important takeaway. We have the power to shape our future with these tools.
Yeah, we do.
Well, that was an amazing journey through some of the latest advancements in science. We've covered so much ground today.
We have from cutting-edge cancer research to the ethical considerations of personalized medicine.
It's been a whirlwind of scientific progress. And it's clear that bioinformatics and machine learning are driving innovation at an incredible pace.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing.
It's such an exciting time to be following all of this, and I can't wait to see what breakthroughs are just around the corner. But before we wrap up, I wanted to leave our listeners with one final thought.
I'm all ears.
As we explore all the possibilities of these technologies, it's important to remember that science isn't just about knowledge. It's also about wisdom. using our knowledge responsibly and ethically to make the world a better place for everyone.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Science without wisdom is like a ship without a rudder.
And on that note, it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the world of scientific discovery. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure exploring all this with you.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to check out the links in the show notes to learn more about the research we discussed today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep pushing the boundaries of what we know.
Yeah, never stop learning.
The world of science is full of wonder and possibility and the potential to truly make a difference in the world.
See you next time.